Every team in a regional gets that high where you're coming in feeling like you're playing your best ball at the right time.
Swing and a miss, strike three.
Oh, come on.
Jessica Allister, her head coach, said the bigger the stage, the better she is.
Establishing the velocity early. Didn't throw any off speeds like I was talking about in this at bat because you could just feel Hannah Ferguson, the slapper, she was late. And so no reason to throw that off speed pitch. If you feel a hitter is that late on you, you're going to continue to burn that velocity.
Marissa Montalongo, the senior, prior to this year, a 200 hitter. And this year, finishing the regular season at 303, including the first 3 home runs of her career. She just gets a piece of the 1-0 pitch over to Jade Berry. Waits for that to come down. 2 up, 2 down for Kennedy.
If you do see balls put in play, typically they're going to be in the air. That's where Nigel likes to work. She can't establish the low part of the zone with her curve, but she's going to run that rise on 3 different planes. She'll even go low rise, middle rise, and then super high rise up around the helmet.
So with the first 2 outs, it brings up Genevieve Amador, the catcher. Kennedy now extends her scoreless streak from the end of the regular season here to the postseason to 17 straight innings without allowing a run. Last year in the NCAA tournament, she allowed just 4 earned runs in 36 innings, equaling out to a .78 ERA. And maybe we witnessed the one rare mistake she might make in the game, not taking the throwback from Ali Kaneshiro. Last year's Freshman of the Year. Just missed out in 2023 on being an All-American. Not meeting the innings requirements. But her 256 strikeouts this year, second most in the country, has 1 here in the inning, and that makes it 2, and a 1-2-3 first for Nyjah Kennedy.
This is what she does, Nyjah Kennedy, one of the best to do it with the strikeout. Watch the spin, the rise, climbing the zone, establishing that pitch early here in the first.
The starting lineup for the Stanford Cardinal presented by Capital One. It's Taryn Kern at the top, first-year Card who transferred in from Indiana University, where she played in the postseason last year. Emily Jones at 366, a first-team All-Pac-12 selection. Ava Gall, the freshman, third-team All-Pac-12. And Ali Kaneshiro, the fourth-year starter, leading the team in home runs for a second straight season. So Stanford in the postseason for the 5th straight year, 21st time overall for St. Mary's, just their 2nd. When they've been in the postseason, it's like a pterodactyl sighting in a way. It's rare but exciting. The last time they went, 2010, and they were a conference champion, got sent to Los Angeles to take on UCLA, and here they come to Stanford, making the trip over from Moraga, California. So Taryn Kern, who grew up not far from here in San Jose, California, leads off against Avery Wolverton, getting the start in the circle.
A little bit of a surprise start for me, just in terms of scouting St. Mary's, and you look at who they have on staff, have the WCC Pitcher of the Year in Odie Vasquez, but you look at who's the hot hand, and this is the pitcher who kind of led their team to get that conference championship last weekend against LMU rather. Going to throw in the high 50s, has a really floaty spin. Similar to what we saw earlier with Aspen Wesley, up in the zone, very floaty rise, hard to barrel up at times.
And there's the hot hand theory as she takes on Taryn Kern here to start. there's also precedent too, because as in our first game between Mississippi State and Cal State Fullerton, they had played earlier this year. These two teams have played even more recently. And Wolverton in that game pitched the final 5 1/3 back on April 24th, allowing just 2 earned runs, 6 hits against Stanford.
That's a great point. Had 12 innings of 1-run softball last weekend when it mattered the most.
Kern in the leadoff spot in all but the first 2 games this year. Takes upstairs, ball 4. And the team leader in walks, her 51st of the year, starts things off with a jog 60 feet up to her right.
Her on-base percentage is above 500. 516, getting on base. That's her 50th walk of the season. That's a lot.
Phenomenal.
That's a lot.
Not only the most walks, she's been hit by the most pitches on this team. So whatever the case is, she finds a way to get on base and set things up for Emily Jones. First team all Pac-12 selection. A 366 hitter, best on the team. Big shoes to fill for her, moving from being primarily an infielder earlier in her career, now taking over in center field.
Having herself a career year, and we were talking to her about batting behind Taryn Kern, and she was like laughing and itching at the bit to talk about, I love hitting behind Taryn because Taryn sees so many pitches and pitchers get mad after they walk her. So guess what pitchers are going to do when they're facing me? Throw strikes. Well, guess what I like to do? I like to hit early in the count. So they were laughing about that and how we're kind of opposite hitters. I like to be aggressive. Taryn likes to be patient, and I love to sit in that 2-hole.
She gets the bunt down, pushes it over to Lindsay Cabral, who turns it over to first for Taylor Lane. Sacrifice successful there. Kern up to second as Jones is retired.
Now batting for Stanford.
So 3 underclassmen in a row from Kern, the sophomore, Jones, a second year, and Gall, the freshman, on the all-freshman team. 3rd team all Pac-12 this year for a team, Kenzie, that coming into the year there was some positional uncertainty coming off their trip to the World Series last year, where Coach Allister said, well, I know 2 spots were locked down at, but everywhere else, that's competition.
I just think about who was on the field for Stanford a season ago. Losing your center fielder and Taylor Gindelsberger, your 3rd baseman, Sydney Steele, Emily Young, shortstop, Emily Schultz at first base, which is where Ava Gall is now playing in her freshman season, was actually recruited as a catcher, has had to learn the position of first base this season. We talked about Emily Jones having herself a breakout year. She's had to learn how to play outfield, was an infielder prior to this season. So many new pieces. Coach Allister says we are a completely different team than we were a season ago. Yes, we have Nyjah. Yes, we have Allie behind the plate. But other than that, it's a lot of new pieces and new faces.
Gall skies it left field. Alex Cudinelli comes in. Grab is out number 2. And despite all of that change, not to mention Elena Vauder, as a graduate student going to Columbia, South Carolina, seeing something different. From the middle of the country, came west for her undergrad, goes to Columbia, pitched to them to a win today over Utah. But the 17 wins at Pac-12 play this year tied for their most ever. So they got seemingly stronger throughout the course of the regular season.
Just getting it done in different ways. You can talk about their power this year. Didn't really see that be a big part of their game plan last year. It was more of just, we're a defensive team. We're not going to allow anything to get scored, and we will sneak a run or 2 across. And this year it's been a little bit of opposite. Defense was a little rough at the start of the season. Coach Allister will be the first one to tell you that, just because of the new pieces that we saw. But she said right now we're playing our best defense that we've played all season long. And then the home runs have doubled from a season ago.
Ali Conachero, a big part of that, as she drives this high and deep left center field, and it is out of here! Into the trees, a 2-run home run for the senior catcher, and it's Stanford 2 and St. Mary's nothing.
Stanford number 4, Ali Conachero.
Well, talking about all those different faces, and we have new pieces, we have freshmen, we have players that are stepping up. You know who's still there and still raking? It's Ali Kaneshiro in the 4-hole. She's been so solid her entire career, and I just feel like she's kind of been one of those slept-on players, to be honest. She's so good. We talk about her defense all the time, but offensively, she's been consistently in the 4-hole for a reason. Coach Alistair kind of grouping this young team around 2 players, and that's Ali Kaneshiro and then Nyjah Kennedy in the circle.
And Kaneshiro will tell you, I'm not one who seeks out the spotlight. I'd rather listen than be someone who talks. But the swing of the bat speaks very loudly for the catcher and brings up Kira Chan, the sophomore left fielder. Oh, 1/2 inning, we saw more offense than we did in 7 in our first game today. A 1-0 hard-fought Mississippi State win over Cal State Fullerton. Winner of this game faces the Bulldogs tomorrow. Chan down the line to left. Cuttinelli has a play on it, and she drops the ball in foul territory. What would have been out number 3 instead falls to the turf. Count is 1-2.
And that's so tough. You look at the shade right now in left field. She's coming in from sun, and where she made that catch, it was right in the shade. And so that ball changing colors makes a big difference, just overrunning that a little bit. It's tough.
So scored an error on Cuttinelli in left field. And another ball out left center field. Ferguson makes the grab, and the inning is over. But Ali Kaneshiro, her 8th home run of the year, well, took some leaves off the trees out in left, and a soaring blast gives Stanford a 2-0 lead.
And why not start it with the senior? This is a young team for Stanford. Coach Alistair says Ali Kaneshiro has been our driving force this entire season. We go as she goes, and that ball just went over the yard. Stanford up early here, 2-0.
Nighttime action here at Smith Family Stadium in Stanford, California. Mike Cousins along with former Arizona pitcher Kenzie Fowler. 2-0 lead for Stanford on an Ali Kaneshiro home run. St. Mary's, West Coast Conference champions, into the NCAA tournament for just the 2nd time. Head coach Sonia Garnett in her 6th season, only the 2nd coach for the Gales to win Conference Coach of the Year. And to go to UCLA, their last time in the NCAA tournament. No easy draw when you're playing out on the West Coast. Sat here to the number 8 national seed, and they dominated the league. A 2.99 ERA was the best, 2.92 average, stole the most bases. And under Coach Garnett, they have continued to improve, raise their win total. In the last 4 years, they've gone from 13 wins to 16 to 20, and this year 30.
Going into last weekend against LMU, they had a 1-lead game, and in the WCC, you have to play your opponent 4 times, which I just think is insane. If you would have asked me to face a Pac-12 opponent when I played 4 times, I would say, excuse me? 4 times?
You
No,
would
thank
not
you.
have been singing Kumbaya by the end of the weekend?
No, thank you. That's so tough. Play their opponents on Friday, and then they'll have a doubleheader. Play another final game on a Saturday or a Sunday.
So what's the balance there of you don't like it of animosity versus familiarity, or where does that line fall?
I'm like, I don't know what kind of positive I would be pulling out of that as a player. That's just, you better have a deep staff. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. Sam Buckley at the plate, the West Coast Conference Freshman of the Year. Roller directly to River Mailer at shortstop. 4 up, 4 down for Kennedy.
It was dramatic the way that St. Mary's was able to get that automatic bid in the West Coast Conference and beating LMU. They won on Thursday, and then they lost that doubleheader on Friday. So it's winner take all, 1 game, everything on the line for Saturday on their senior day, on their home field. And oh yeah, they just had a walk-off run rule to clinch everything that they've been working for so long.
Hard ball, Alex Cuttinelli, center field. And the park holds it as Emily Jones gets underneath. Well, if there's anything to take away, because odds are you're not going to get very many hits against Nigeri Kennedy, but whatever it was that Cudanelli just saw there, she passes it along to Taylor Lane to say, all right, I made some hard contact. Let's see if you can follow it up.
Go early in the count. That's what I'm thinking. If I'm in the dugout and I'm getting ready to take my at-bat against the best pitcher in the country, I'm going early and I'm getting my hacks in. If I'm fooled on the first 2 pitches with the changeup, okay, no big deal. But the last thing I want to find myself in a hole 0-2 and then having to chase down that rise ball, that's just filthy.
You're really putting yourself in an untenable situation there. Lane, the redshirt sophomore out of Huntington Beach, California. A swing and a miss, 0-2. Kennedy looking to go 6 up and 6 down to start the game. Struck out 2 in the first. Was there a little bit of a sliver of doubt in your mind today if she'd pitch in this game?
A little bit, but we had this conversation in our first game where our sport is at a point where you cannot take for granted, if you're the 1 seed versus the 4 seed, you can't take for granted that matchup at all. You've got to throw your ace, in my opinion, in game 1.
From 0-2 to 2-2 for Kennedy against Lane. Kennedy has her 3rd strikeout.
No runs, no hits, no errors.
Nyjah Kennedy has faced 6 batters, retired them all, and Stanford works with a 2-0 lead.
Nyjah Kennedy continues in the rise. 3 strikeouts, 2 3 down innings.
Coming up on Athletes Unlimited, their draft, Valerie Cagle from Clemson. Phenomenal 2-way player going 1st overall. Maya Brady from UCLA, then Tiare Jennings. And one school that you don't see often with a draft pick, Carly Spade, the outfielder from Miami, Ohio. One of the best home run hitters in the country. Redhawks were held quiet today. A 7-0 win for Virginia against Miami, Ohio. So good start for the Cavaliers as they move into the winner's bracket in the Knoxville Regional to take on the host Lady Vols. 2-0 Stanford in the lead. Ali Kaneshiro with a 2-run blast for 8th of the year. Bottom 1. Jade Berry, Kaylin Koch, River Mailer, 6, 7, and 8 here for Stanford. So 51 home runs now on the year for Stanford. Closing out the regular season at 50 was their most since 2008. As they expect to make a deep postseason run, they'll have the 2nd best season in their sights because now it's only 2 home runs away, 53.
Just think about who Coach Allister was able to bring in, the transfer, the Big Ten freshman and player of the year, and Taryn Kern adding a bat like Jade Berry, the freshman. She's had a lot of home runs in her rookie season. Ava Gall. I mean, all those numbers start to add up. Those bats were not in the lineup a season ago. It was a very defensive-minded team, and it's kind of roles reversed now. You have some rookie power, some young energy. The balls are flying a little bit more. Of course, we saw the senior go yard, Ali Kaneshiro. She's been the one consistent piece in the lineup.
Berry just laid on that ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ball over for a look. Runs out of room as that goes a couple rows deep into what has turned into a very healthy crowd here in Stanford.
All right, we need to make sure we're protecting the babies here. putting our life on the line here and making some plays, protecting the young ones. Looks like everyone's okay, but that was close.
1-2 just off the plate from Avery Wolverton. Redshirt sophomore out of Brighton, Michigan. Her 24 appearances this year, second most on the team. Just under 100 innings of work. This is skied right field. Laura, a couple steps back, has a read, and that's out number one. A lot on the line here because you win your first game, and historically speaking, things are going to go a lot better for you. Mississippi State got a complete game shutout from Aspen Wesley. It was not an offensive masterpiece from the Bulldogs by any stretch in their first game here in the postseason after missing out a year ago as they had 1 run on 2 hits. Cal State Fullerton, 6 hits. But what really hurt them was stranding 8 runners throughout the course of the game. A lot of credit to Wesley, who said, trusted my defense, we got the job done.
Yeah, for Mississippi State, they really only had a 4th inning. That was it. But Aspen Wesley, she had a full 7. Complete game shutout. There's Haley Rainey. She was the counterpart to Aspen Wesley in that pitcher's duel. Threw so well, gave her team a chance every single inning.
Line shot right side, base hit, Kaylin Coe. So important to be at home, too. You go back to 2005, this current format. Teams that host a regional advance to supers 75% of the time.
Stanford, number 1, Rupert Mabel.
And if you win your first game, of the teams that advanced to super since 2005, 97% of them started off with a win.
Well, that's math we can do.
Because somebody else did it. Yeah, I can read math. I can't calculate it.
Joking earlier about how neither you or I are great at math. Was your major journalism as well?
Allegedly.
Okay.
No one's seen my diploma.
That's fair.
Interestingly enough, the only team that has advanced to supers after losing game 1, Mississippi State did it back in 2022 when they eliminated the number 2 national seed, Florida State.
That's right.
I should say no team since then, but the list is not very long.
We've already had a national seed go down in game 1 of a host regional, with Missouri losing to Omaha.
3-1 final score in 9 innings. Danny Hayes, the junior from outside of Philadelphia, pinch runner at first base for Stanford. Here with a shortstop, River Mailer, up, and to count 1 ball and 1 strike. .294 on the year for Mailer. Grew up about 30 minutes northeast of Seattle and shoots it straight back to the screen. It's going to be a really interesting experience, as it was for Mailer last year, to, as a freshman, go to the World Series, because that sets the bar really high for what your expectations are going to be the next 3 years.
I was surrounded by all those veterans, starting at second base. Coach Allister talked about her presence at second base and how, you know, we had a hunch that she was going to take over at shortstop. But it's just a big ask when you look out into the defense for Stanford. You're looking at a bunch of underclassmen. So in a sense, you have World Series experience. You started on that World Series team. You are the veteran at shortstop this season.
Mailer continues to battle, fouls away another. Nyjah Kennedy waiting on deck. Mailer pokes it through the left side. That's the base hit. Cope from first to second. Runners at first and second. Kennedy gets ready to swing it with 2 on and 1 out.
just putting the ball on the ground, making things happen. You could see at shortstop, Sam Buckley was cheating a little bit to her left, and that cost her. That ball was hit right at the standard shortstop position. Just getting a little bit too antsy. That's a freshman that's wanting to make a play, but needs to stay home on that ball. Back-to-back singles for Stanford.
Nyjah Kennedy at the plate. This is the 9 spot here. Kaylin Lim, the DP. So Kennedy coming in at the plate this year. 3 for 25. But this is a large interjection. 2 of her 3 hits have been home runs.
This is a power switch right here. You have the opportunity to blow this game open with 1 swing of a bat early. 2 runners on. The power of Nyjah Kennedy. We've seen her go yard a couple of times this season, like you're talking about. She has the ability to swing it.
So 2 on, 1 out. And Kennedy doesn't have to swing it and earns herself a trip to first base as she gets plunked on the leg.
You can see where Nyjah Kennedy was standing in the box. She was far back, and that ball still hits her. Hopefully not intentional, but that was a pretty big miss.
And Kayla Lim re-enters to run at first base, back to the top of the order. It'll be Taryn Kern. And like you talked about in her first plate appearance today when she drew a walk, how patient she is. And it could be very easy here in this type of a situation to come up, want to swing right away because you've got an opportunity to drive in some runs. But she'll wait to see the pitch that she wants to get. St. Mary's early here, making the pitching change and calling on their ace, Odie Vasquez, who inherits the bases loaded with just 1 out. To the College World Series, where they went 2-2 last year in Oklahoma City. They've got the bases loaded, 1 out. Taryn Kern coming up. They forced a pitching change, and it's Odie Vasquez, who was the co-pitcher of the year this year, stepping in here to a difficult situation.
I'm gonna be honest, this is who I thought we would see start this game. So you see Coach Garnett going right to her ace. This is who's carried this team all season long. Throws in the low to mid 60s, has a curve that she'll throw to both sides of the plate, keeps it low in the zone. But what a moment to bring her in here, bases loaded, and try and get out of this jam for St. Mary's.
Number 99, Taryn Kern.
Kern walked her first time up. She's got Hayes at third, Mailer at second, and Lim at first. Takes ball 1. Last year in the postseason, Taryn Kern played with Indiana. They got sent to Knoxville, Tennessee. Regional there hosted by the Lady Vols. And you spend Thursday talking to all the teams, meeting their best players, talking to the coaching staff. And talking to Taryn Kern a year ago, as a freshman in college, felt like you were talking to someone who'd been in the workforce for 15 years and had so much life experience under their belt, had an understanding of who she was as not only as a softball player, but as a human being off the field, just well beyond her years in terms of maturity.
A huge get for Stanford in the transfer portal this season. From the Bay Area, so you bring a kid home, you see her name pop up in the transfer portal, and Stanford is a program where you just do not see transfers, if at all. And so a lot of people were maybe thinking, okay, she's from the Bay Area, could she go back home? It took a little bit longer than most transfers will, just because, well, it's Stanford, but ultimately found her way back home.
And her recruitment was hampered by COVID interrupting her high school career and diminishing the ability for the coaching staffs of any school to see her in person. As a matter of fact, she ended up at Indiana in part because her dad's alma mater, Gonzaga, was in the Final Four in Indianapolis. She took a visit to Bloomington and loved it. She loves that too. She didn't have to swing the bat, picks up the RBI, and it's 3-0 Stanford.
Just another walk for Taryn Kern. 2 for 2, 2 walks. It's why she's in the leadoff spot. Yes, she can swing away. Yes, she can hit home runs, but she is one of the best at the plate at just being patient and not making the moment bigger than it is. Bases loaded, that's as big as it gets, but she's so patient at the plate.
Emily Jones 0 for 1 with a ground out to third. She didn't hit second for the entirety of the year, but down the stretch, that's where she found herself in the lineup the last 18 games of the season, going back to the start of their series against Oregon State. And Vasquez is having trouble finding the zone. Second meeting of the year for Stanford and St. Mary's, a 9-4 Stanford win in matchup number 1. Carinelli on the run, it falls in front of her. Her long strike, it's 2-2. Jones lays off, and a big pitch here. Vasquez needs a strike to avoid walking in a second consecutive run.
Emily Jones standing in, looking to swing away here, something that you would not see out of her a season ago. Came in predominantly just a slap hitter.
And it's up high, ball 4. So back-to-back bases loaded walks. That brings home River Mailer for the second run of the inning. 4-0 Stanford. Lim to third, Kern to second, Jones to first to bring up Ava Gall.
You just feel for Vasquez in the circle. It's a tough moment to say, hey, come on in. This is our first regional appearance in forever, and you've got the bases loaded to top 8 team at home. Let's see if you can get out of it. So just credit Stanford for being very patient at the plate, not making the moment bigger than it is. It's very easy, bases loaded. You get a new pitcher at the plate, you're thinking, yeah, let me open this thing up with one swing, but the 2 walks continue to pass the bat, and now Stanford in the second inning finding themselves already in the middle of their lineup for the second time.
What was your secret to getting yourself out of a funk in the circle?
I think timeouts are super helpful. I love that timeout there from St. Mary's. Just kind of let the sophomore in the circle just breathe a little bit. Sometimes the game gets so quick on you, especially when you're young.
Call goes after the first pitch, deep into the hole off of Buckley's glove. Lim scores, Kern is in behind her, and it's all Stanford here in the second, 6-0.
And that's a freshman in Ava Gall with the approach of a veteran. You're watching the timeout defensively happen in front of you. So what's going to happen? The pitcher's going to give you some pitches. She doesn't want to walk 3 batters in a row, swinging on the first pitch, ready to hit on time. And then the speed of Stanford, we've seen it all season long. They love to run the bases. They do it very well.
So a 2-run single for Gall on a ball that was chopped in a difficult spot deep to the hole there for Buckley. Odie Vasquez came on in relief of Avery Wolverton, who gave up 2 runs on a home run for Kaneshiro in the first. Got Jay Berry to start the second here to fly out to right. But then 3 straight hitters reached. They pulled her. Bases were loaded. She walked Kern and Jones, and Gall with a 2-run strike. As Mia Nishikawa, the freshman from Fresno, California, starts to warm up in the bullpen. Allison Morikawa, pinch runner, first base.
And now batting for the Cardinals, number 4, Stanford.
St. Mary's has seen what Ali Kaneshiro can do once. 2-run home run that cleared the wall by a good margin in left center last inning. So much tilted in the offense's favor in this type of a situation. The lead is sizable, the position advantageous, and you can just sit back and wait on your pitch. Already 2-0. Kaneshiro, her home run total this year now up to 8, most by a Stanford player since 2015. Add on to that her defensive prowess. Last year, a Gold Glove winner behind the plate.
So much talk about the pitching staff for Stanford, and deservingly so. Last season, it was the 1-2 punch with Elena Vaughter and Nyjah Kennedy. This season, Nyjah's back. Reagan Krause has found herself into that number 2 spot. But you gotta give credit to the catchers. And Ali Kaneshiro, Gold Glove winner, has a cannon behind the plate. And she's so calm. Getting to talk to her yesterday, you just kind of feel that mama bear presence from her.
Hey, off to the biology major, fouled off to the right. You want somebody calm like her because she wants to go to nursing school and is hoping to get a master's in nursing next year. How nervous would you be if you had a frenetic nurse coming into the room?
That's right, it's a great point. And who's going to be cooler and calmer than catchers? They're in the middle of all the chaos, trying to manage the pitchers and keep them cool. You can't keep a pitcher cool if you're not cool yourself.
Another time on the 3-2, another ball looped to the right side. And it's the second baseman, Montalongo, as the Gales get a long-awaited second out of the second inning. Kira Chan, batter number 9 of the inning, in what has already been a 4-run frame. And her latter half of the season, tremendous. March 24th, she was hitting 167. And her last 27 games, 364 at the plate.
And for Stanford, it's all about the offense with them. Yes, their numbers are better, but will it show up when it counts? Because we know what they have in the circle. Everyone knows what they have in the circle. So everyone watches Stanford and says, are they going to put up offense? Sometimes that can get a little overwhelming, and you can kind of feel it too much, put too much pressure on yourselves, whether that's from a coach or just passing the bat in the dugout, feeling a little tense, like, hey, we really need to score because our pitchers are throwing up these shutouts consistently. And so I just think it's a really good position for them to see that early in this game, in the regional, where you have all the pressure on you as the host seed, get a couple runs out early.
You feel that as a host?
A little bit. I feel like there's always more pressure as a host. It's nicer because you get to sleep in your own bed, and you know your family knows where the travel arrangements are going to be. You're not scheduling late flights, trying to figure out where we're going to be flying across the country. You're very comfortable playing in your own facilities, but also it's like we better deliver. Our fans are coming. They expect us to win. We expect to win, and those expectations sometimes can get a little bit too much.
You were playing really before social media is what it is now.
Oof.
Another added layer of pressure.
I can't imagine. You just have to put your phone away after a game. Win or lose, honestly. Just like don't look at it. That's what I would do. But
well, it was like we saw from Caitlin Clark in the new documentary about the women's college basketball postseason.
Yep.
I believe she said, delete that bleep off your phone. Wise words there.
Yeah, when I was playing, I think Twitter was like just starting to be a thing. Like we were creating our accounts in the middle of like my junior season. Hey, we should have a Twitter account. What should we call it? I don't know. Arizona softball? Okay.
Okay. The real play would have been, if I was smart enough, just get all the good names and then sit on them, squatting on it for money, right?
That's right.
No, I could have owned a
Strategic move.
I could have owned an island in the Pacific.
Just find all the celebrities and create all these burner accounts
Yeah.
and make them come to you. I see.
I know. Aren't you glad I didn't, though? Because we're here today. 2-1. And it's in the dirt here to Barry. 10th batter of the inning for Stanford. Up and in, ball 4. So the third bases loaded walk of the inning, all of them from Vasquez. That brings Jones home to score. Morikawa to third. Chan is up to second, and Barry aboard for the first time.
Now back for Stanford, number 5, Danny Hayes.
Danny Hayes, who came on as a pinch runner earlier in the inning and scored for Kaylin Koch, now comes to the plate. Well, with the game going the way that it is right now, 6-0 in the second, it's a great opportunity for Jessica Allister, too, to get a lot of at-bats for a lot of different players and get everybody's postseason jitters out of the way in game 1.
100%. And then on the flip side, how long do you leave Nyjah Kennedy in? I might give her one more inning just to kind of get those juices fully out. But if the score stays where it is, I'm probably bringing in either Reagan Krause or even going deeper into my bullpen.
Well, that was an interesting conversation last night, too, in the Nuggets and Timberwolves game, which was, I think, like 1,000,000 to 10, whatever the final score ended up being. It doesn't matter, but the conversation was, as the game went into the fourth quarter, do you pull your starters on either side because the game is over? What's the benefit at that point, other than to say, hey, we're in a rhythm, we want to keep things going? I think there is some value to that, too, of just you've been waiting for this for such a long time to get out there and say, okay, I threw 3, 4, 5 innings, whatever the case might be, rather than come back tomorrow against an opponent that, if they win, will be Mississippi State, and then you say, oh, you know what, I don't know that I really feel fully myself today.
Well, and it's also interesting, this entire season, Nyjah Kennedy has not started back-to-back games, so it's not been something that Coach Allister has planned for. She says we use the staff in season, and when we get to postseason, we still use the staff. So that's kind of part of the strategy, but it changes if you can take her out here and save a lot of pitches. She's getting her glove, and I think she's going out for at least one more.
Hayes takes a called third strike, and that ends the inning. But Stanford plates 5 in the frame, 7-0 at the end of 2. The sun sets on a Friday night here in Northern California. It's all Stanford with a 7-0 lead after 2. That means the day is done for Nyjah Kennedy, and the sophomore turns it over to the senior, Reagan Krause.
This is the 1-2 punch, and Reagan Krause, the senior, having her best year in the circles. You love that for her. Mid-60s, attacks the corner, will work low, and then elevate if she needs to, but she just has that veteran presence. And, you know, I like this move. I think there was a conversation probably in the dugout with Coach Allister and probably the pitching coach, Tori Nyberg, asking Nyjah, do you want one more? Honestly, up to you. Do you feel good? And if she says, no, I'm good, okay, we make the move and we rest our ace. It's no-brainer.
What would you say?
I mean, it's completely different for every pitcher, right? But she looked, if I'm having the outing that she had, I'm good. Get me out. Give me that jacket on, eyes on tomorrow. And it's just trusting the staff, right? You know that who you're turning it over to can completely handle the rest of the game, the rest of the way. The senior in the circle, Reagan Krause. a lot of trust there.
So she threw 22 pitches to get 6 outs. 3.6-ish pitches per out. And Kraus gets a chopper right side, underhand toss from Kern. A little bit off the mark, wide of Gall. That would have been a spectacular play if Kern were able to finish it. And Marissa Nishikara is the first base runner of the day for St. Mary's.
Yeah, I'm going base hit all day on this. I like the attack there from Taryn Kern, but you can see it was a slow bounce. So look where she has to go to field that almost all the way to the pitcher circle. The only play that she had was that with the glove and just wasn't able to execute it. But nice response here for St. Mary's getting themselves a base runner.
Batter is Lindsay Cabral, the third baseman. So Nyjah Kennedy today, 3.6 pitches per out. Compare that with, she usually allows 3.1 hits per 7 innings. Kraus this year, second team all Pac-12, 10th all time in strikeouts here at Stanford. Career year included highs and starts, complete games, and innings at 137 2/3.
Now between Kraus and then Kaneshiro behind the plate, it's the two seniors that really run this clubhouse. Talking to Ali Kaneshiro about Reagan Kraus yesterday, they're actually roommates. They live together, and so she was joking that I do the dishes, Reagan does the vacuuming, we've got it all figured out, we've lived together, been in the dugout together for so long, 4 years, and it's a young team. And Coach Allister loves the two leaders that she has in the top, and they just so happen to be roommates, best friends, and pitcher and catcher.
Certainly makes for some pretty good team chemistry as well. First and second, number 9 hitter is Camille Lara, the freshman. 5th on the team this year at 289. And a check to third. They say she offered it that. Tom Meyer makes a strike 2 against Lara. That's up the middle with the infield in. Kern got it and dragged the toe like a wide receiver catching a touchdown at the back of the end zone.
No, she did not. Wow. I need to see this again. Wow. Right place, right time, but also just the glove work. That's so tough to field a ball behind your teammate. You're thinking that maybe River Mailer's going to get her glove on this. She doesn't. It's like a first baseman stretch over at second base. You're fielding the ball, making the stretch, dragging the toe all at the same time. That was pretty neat.
To have a sense of where you are on the diamond, watching that on replay, it confirmed what I thought the first time. That ball was way to the shortstop side of the second base bag. If anything, you think Mailer's going to come up with it and maybe just stick it in her pocket.
Yep. She's still laughing about it. Like, did I just do that?
Really, really impressive. Here's Tori Nyberg out to the circle for a conversation with Reagan Kraus, runners at first and third, and their effort to keep St. Mary's off the board. As Hannah Ferguson is the batter, their best hitter. Surprising the entire Big 12, going from Oklahoma State to Oklahoma. And softball fans around the country so disappointed this February when Jordy Ball ended up being injured, and eagerly awaiting her return for what will be her first full season in Lincoln next year. Jessica Allister popping out of the first base dugout. I'm not sure, she was picking up something off the infield.
Yeah, I think Coach Nyberg dropped something when she went out for her mound visit. It's a good teammate. That's having your teammates back right there.
It's doing it even if it's 2 decades later. were teammates here 2001 to 2003. 2 balls, 1 strike, and now we've got time called behind the plate by Todd Foy, the home plate umpire. And what do we got going on?
We just want to execute every single type of timeout we can have. Right here.
Next rules change here. I'm going to be the lone advocate, perhaps, for umpires being required to announce why they stop the game every time. The broadcaster's clause.
I'm here for it.
Well, we're not far away, though, from the SEC has done it, having the umpires be able to speak over the public address system, and within a couple of years, you imagine that'll be the norm around the sport. Just like the action clock has become. 2 is high, 3-2. Ferguson, the .371 hitter, scoops that foul.
Yeah, a couple of rule changes this season for the positive that I've loved watching develop is the pitch clock you're mentioning. I think it's a good pace to our game. I haven't seen it disrupt pitchers, and then it's the pitch comm as well. You're seeing Reagan Krause glance down to her wrist, get the pitch in very quickly.
Mailer on to first. It does score St. Mary's first run. Hannah Ferguson brings home Marissa Nishihara from third. Neil Lara moves into scoring position at second. The Card will gladly trade the out for the run.
Yeah, get your first run of the tournament. Kind of taste it a little bit. Execute it very well. Hannah Ferguson, slap hitter at the top of the lineup, doing what she does. I also like the play from Stanford. You could tell the middles were kind of playing a little bit deeper, just trying to make sure they get out, knowing what the score is on the scoreboard.
Six-run advantage, down from 7, but the offensive pressure certainly will not slow. That's a bloop into center field. Jones is up with it. Her throw to the plate is dropped by Kaneshiro, and that's the second run for St. Mary's. 7-2 on the RBI base hit from Marissa Montalongo.
Well, these two teams faced each other back on April 24th, and they did not see Nyjah Kennedy. St. Mary's saw Reagan Krause and was able to put up 4 runs in that game. This is a close play at the plate. Just Kaneshiro unable to hang on to the throw kind of going up the line just a little bit.
And we haven't had a replay review yet. You don't have to tell Stanford about the obstruction rule this year as that ball got away from Kaneshiro, but that the throw led her up the third base line.
Yeah, Ali Kaneshiro just trying to stay home with this, but you could see where the throw was. It's not at the plate, it's up the line.
Which is allowed for the player receiving the throw if they are following an errant throw, as the letter of the law dictates. They're allowed to then be in the front of the leading edge of the bag. Just the third NCAA tournament game ever for St. Mary's, the champions of the WCC. 2010, their first and only prior to this year. They went to UCLA. They lost to what was then the 5th-seeded Bruins that year, an 11-4 defeat. And then in their second game, eliminated by Fresno State 6-0. So this game marks the second highest scoring total for them in their NCAA tournament history. And Genevieve Amador takes a free pass. Sam Buckley is going to be batter number 7 of the inning here for the Gales.
Well, the last thing Stanford wants or needs is to have that young lady go re-warm up. So you're seeing the senior talking to her fellow senior about just, hey, let's take a minute and realize where we are. Realize who you are. fallen behind in counts. Maybe just a little nervous. See the big breath there? It's a good reset.
Now back for St. Marys, number 15, Sam Buckley.
Sam Buckley, the freshman from Burbank, California, who, when the list came out of top 25 finalists for NFCA Freshman of the Year, she was on it. Did not make the most recent cut, but she's the only athlete from the WCC on the list. First player at St. Mary's to make that list. Previous winners last year was Nigeri Kennedy, the aforementioned Jordy Ball, Tiare Jennings, Danielle Williams, just to go back the last couple years.
Watching her take BP yesterday, she packs a punch. This is a freshman with a big swing.
Coaching staff said, yeah, of course, we knew she'd be good, but this good, the level to which she's played, led the league with an 1162 OPS. That really impressed us. Counting her favorite 2-1, swinging away, liner, Kern, a leaping grab. Now St. Mary's scored 2, but Taryn Kern had 2 defensive gems in this inning. 7-2, Stanford, the number 8 national seed, in the lead. They got 2 innings from Nigeri Kennedy before she exited tonight. St. Mary's answered with 2. Well, with as much good pitching as there's been, you're going to get a lot of foul balls. Some young fans, the game continues to grow, watching in the front row, but you got to have a protector.
I was calling it out a little bit, right? We got to protect the youngins in the stands, and this was in the very first inning of our game. Mom bails. She bails.
Mom, no! But we learn from our mistakes.
We can't be bailing, but we make adjustments. You have your second at bat, and you know exactly where the coverage is. It's over the baby. This is a great breakdown from our truck. I love this. She was ready to play, ready for that second foul ball. Good job, Mom.
Well, as much as the players might want to ignore their phones, I have a feeling Mom's phone is about to light up a little bit.
You're famous.
Hope she at least gets to take home a foul ball. Bottom 3 here for Stanford, and it begins with River Mailer. That was a long second inning for Stanford. 11 batters came to the plate. 5 runs came across. Mailer came through. She singled and scored. Kenzie, from playing at Arizona, historically speaking, one of the best programs in the history of the sport. You get into the postseason, and you're coming out of Pac-10, Pac-12 play, where the competition level is more or less on your same level every night. What's it like when you get into a regional here, and all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard, after 2 innings, you're up 7-0. How does that change the feeling in the dugout?
I think you just always know that you have a target on your back, especially when you're the host team. When you're playing a team like St. Mary's, who has absolutely nothing to lose, you're the team that has everything to lose. And we just kind of talked on the pressure a little bit earlier about how it's so important to establish your game plan or whatever you want to, whether that's offense, pitching, you got to establish that in the first 2 innings and make sure you're feeling good about it. We saw it from the offense from Stanford. We saw it from Kennedy in the circle. She looked comfortable. She looked solid. Her velocity was up.
That pitch up as well. It gets Mailer chasing, and she's down swinging. And it's interesting just to watch the composure of the teams. Sometimes it's the number 4 seed that plays the loosest.
And why not, right? Everyone is picking Stanford. Everyone is picking Missouri if you're Omaha, right? You're the team that can be the one that's coming up. No one's looking at us. No one's highlighting us. Let's go in and shock some people and play loose while doing it, because there's no reason to be tight at all if you're the 4 seed in a regional.
I always just caution against using the phrase shock the world. I don't know what softball's traction is like in French Polynesia.
We are trying to grow it, okay?
That's right. We're getting there. We're getting there. The time zone difference, a little difficult sometimes.
We need a big presence in Europe, right? Because the Olympics are coming around this summer, and
Paris
turning
2024.
turning on your TVs, there will not be softball because of that reason. It's just not global to the point where we need it to be. It's going to take a lot of time, and there's a lot of good people doing a lot of great things to expand our game and grow our game. Luckily, we'll have to wait 4 more years, and then we will see it in the Olympics.
Well, you know, everybody around the world can't get enough breakdancing.
Not even going there. We're going to talk about the strikeout.
LA 2028.
I love the reset from the sophomore in Vasquez. 3rd strikeout. She came in such a tough spot. Had the bases loaded, had multiple walks. It's hard to find your zone and say, hey, let's settle in. Your first time in the postseason, bases are loaded, and hey, you're going to get the ball, but you get a clean inning and everything changes. You see your offense give your team a little bit of life. Makes your eyes reset a little bit. Say, okay, task at hand. 3 up, 3 down. Let's do it. Clean inning.
By the way, not that I'm breaking any news to you, because I'm sure your alum group chat is exploding, but Arizona, another Pac-12 team, a 14-3 winner over Villanova. UCLA hosting as well the Los Angeles Regional, 9-0 final score over Grand Canyon.
I have my eyes on that LA Regional. That, I think, is the toughest regional in my opinion. San Diego State, Grand Canyon, they're so good. I watched them play in Tucson earlier this year, Arizona beating them by just 1 run. That's a tough team. They're so good. And then Virginia Tech, are you kidding? With those bats coming to Easton Stadium? It's a tough regional.
And the Hokies, like in this regional with Mississippi State, making a very long cross-country track. And Pete Demore's team, a 5-1 winner over San Diego State. And they did it without hitting any home runs. But they did get a complete game 6 strikeout performance from Emma Lemon. Going into a game, if you were to say, okay, pick a player in the lineup. They haven't swung the bat, but they've maybe been the most impactful one in the game.
So true.
It's Taryn Kern has got 2 walks. She scored 2 runs. And she takes a strike to get to 3 and 2. She opens up the opportunities for everybody else hitting behind her. Now 52 walks, so she just continues to grow her single season program record. Top 3, a phenomenal job running through the second base bag on a backhand, dragging her foot on the base to get a force out there. A leaping grab going toward the right field line to end the inning. 2 out, 3-2. She fouls away a second straight 2-strike pitch.
Fun to watch her swing the bat a little bit here in the 3rd inning. Haven't seen it yet.
So fascinating to see the way in which she's adapted her game too. 7 home runs this year after hitting 22 last year during the regular season, which was just 1 off the national lead from Kiki Malloy's 23. 3rd time, 3-2, fly ball left field, and that ends the inning. So Stanford, after sending 11 to the plate in the 2nd, goes down 1-2-3 for the first time tonight here in the 3rd. And we'll talk with Jessica Allister, Stanford's head coach, when we come back. Stanford up 5 as we go to the 4th. And we're joined by Jessica Allister, the Cardinal head coach. Well, we want to go to the top of your lineup. Would you be surprised if we told you Taryn Kern made one of the biggest impacts today without swinging the bat?
In a couple different ways, huh? Getting on base, making some sweet plays up the middle, the one on the line drive going back. She's doing well.
Coach, just got to ask about the strategy, of course. And with Nyjah starting, you bring in Reagan Krause. I know you love to pitch as a staff, but just kind of take us a little bit into that strategy there.
Yeah, we'll go through the weekend and figure out how to best use our staff. And that's going to look different on different days. But it's something that we've done all year, and we're going to continue to make sure that we put them in situations to be successful and utilize everybody.
Jessica Allister, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you.
So spinning ahead to tomorrow, if you say Stanford wins this game, they look pretty comfortable where they are with a 5-run lead, but only the top of the 4th. 22 pitches today, and you got a big matchup tomorrow then against Mississippi State. You could say on the plus side for Nyjah Kennedy, whereas it's a leadoff single to start the 4th for Alex Cudinelli, who made the grab to finish off Stanford's bottom of the 3rd. You see, you've got a well-rested Nyjah Kennedy in the winner's bracket to try and get to 2-0 in the regional final.
Yeah, no doubt. Give her the ball tomorrow. That winner's bracket game is so important. I mean, every game is so important, but you want to open it up, and then you want to solidify yourself not having to play that late-night doubleheader.
The historical odds just favor the teams that host so much, especially if you win your first game. But since 2005, teams that host advance 75% of the time. Chopper, shortstop. Mailer turns, gives it to Kern, and her relay on to first is not in time. Fielder's choice on the middle infield.
Next up for St. Marys.
Reagan Krause, as opposed to Nyjah Kennedy, who's all up in the zone, Reagan Krause is going to get a lot of ground balls. She keeps the ball low in the zone, works so well side to side. But you can feel all of the action from St. Mary's hard-hit ground balls right now.
Gracie Carpenter gets the call. Pinch runner over at first, stepping in for Taylor Lane. I'd say the playlist here tonight has been pretty good. Quite varied, right?
I've enjoyed it.
We heard some Paramore. We heard, what was the song we were talking? Life is a Highway, the Rascal Flatts cover a couple of times. So what made me think of that, though, was they just played Nelly's Grills. Mailer with another opportunity, and that throw in time over to first base. Only because I couldn't think of the last time I heard that song.
You don't watch Cars every week?
Cars?
Yeah, Life is a Highway. That's where it's from.
That's not where it's from.
It's why they did the cover. That's why they did the cover.
No,
for
not
Cars.
Life is a Highway. I meant Grills.
Oh, you meant Grills. Oh, that's on my everyday playlist. Hello. A classic.
Most of your life takes place in 2006?
Absolutely. As a freshman, it was the time of my life. Freshman in high school. They say all of the playlists that you listen to is from your most formative years, which is like freshman and sophomore year of high school. So absolutely, Nelly, staple, all day, every day.
For me, I think it's Mozart, Rachmaninoff, Bach. That's a little bit too far inside and off the leg of Lindsay Cabral. So this has been an up and down outing for Reagan Krause since taking over for Nyjah Kennedy coming on in the 3rd. She faced 7 batters in the 3rd, allowed 2 runs, and now 2 aboard here with 2 out.
I would really like to see her work out of this if you're Coach Allister and Coach Nyberg in the dugout. This is a senior who has been on the biggest stages, knows what it takes. I just feel like she's kind of overthinking the moment a little bit, missing wide, so then she's having to bring the ball over the heart of the plate. And when she has credit St. Mary's, they've been all over it.
Yeah, to be fair, there's value in working through adversity.
And it's a tough task to be the number 2 pitcher to Nyjah Kennedy, because when you're coming in relief for the best pitcher in the nation,
Bandura, it's over the bag at third. It's a fair ball down the line. Green light at third, and it's run number 3 for St. Mary's.
You can feel the dugout for St. Mary's be lifted up when they see a new pitcher in the circle. And to be honest, sometimes that can not feel so great. You know a team's excited to hit because it's not 73 miles an hour, a rise ball up through the zone, so they're taking advantage of this opportunity. Solid at-bats up and down through the lineup the last 2 innings.
They turn it over for Hannah Ferguson. See if she can get on base, because in the regional, we've seen 2 of the better hitters. And you go back to our first game, we saw at the top of the lineup for Cal State Fullerton, Megan Delgadillo. She was 0 for 3 until the 7th when she got a single. The next out ended the game. So we get a pinch runner at second base now for St. Mary's. Jocelyn Bryant will take the bag there.
Look, St. Mary's has a roster of 26. They will empty the entire roster, and they will keep us busy with these pinch runners and pinch hitters, for that matter as well. It's a full team effort.
So first pitch fouled away. So the first team all West Coast Conference selection, Hannah Ferguson, the sophomore from San Diego, was on the leadoff spot last year. Here at 371, was the second best hitter in the league.
It's a triple threat, so you see her swing away there with the runner in scoring position. Has a lot of speed from the left side. Will also drop a drag, use her slap game if she needs to be a leadoff. A lot of different options.
Chops it. Barry has to wait for it to come down, and Ferguson is safe at first. That time it was keeping the ball on the infield and using gravity to her benefit.
It's just so textbook. If you're a young slapper at home, it's exactly how you want to do it. Bounce the ball as close as you can to home plate to get that high hop. By the time Jade Berry gets this ball, it's too late. You see the good jump that she gets from home plate, speed down the line, a close play, but still safe all day.
Bases full for Marissa Montelongo. Ball in the dirt, Kaneshiro, it gets away. Her toss to the plate is not in time. Lindsay Cabral comes in to score. 7-4, and the Gales just keep chipping away at the lead.
Right now you're looking at Coach Allister talking to Nyjah, getting her jacket is coming off. She's heading to the bullpen. This is not what Stanford wanted when they brought in Reagan Krause, and it's everything that St. Mary's wanted. You see Nyjah Kennedy exit the game. It is go time offensively.
Because you've got to imagine the assumption when she came out, 22 pitches, 6 batters, 6 outs, 3 strikeouts. You turn it over, and her day, they hoped probably at that point, was done.
That's a 7-run cushion.
So instead, it's out to the bullpen down the right field line. Meanwhile, here's the tying run at the plate for St. Mary's. After the pass ball, charged to Kaneshiro, second and third. And it's 2 balls, no strikes for Montelongo, who's already driven in a run.
And Mike, this is what we were talking about when you're the underdog and you have nothing to lose. If you get an opportunity from the host team, you're going to jump all over it.
Naylor takes the hopper throw to first, not in time, and it's a 2-run play. Oh, wow.
She didn't know where the runners were. Thought that there was a runner at first base, but there was a pass ball. The runners move up. There's no one to make the play at second base. Watch River Mailer. She thinks the play is at second. It's not. It's too late. The speed of Hannah Ferguson. This is one of the fastest teams in the country. And an infield single, 2 runs, score from second base. Wow.
Well, it may not go down as a scored error.
It's a mental error.
But it is absolutely that. 7-6. It was 7-0 Stanford after 2 innings. St. Mary's with 2 in the 3rd, and now 4 here in the 4th, as Nigeri Kennedy is back to work in the bullpen. A moment of adversity that has arrived perhaps far earlier than Stanford expected. After 2 innings, 7-0 lead, it would be easy to imagine this is a 5-inning game. And yet, Nigeri Kennedy had the jacket on when she went to the bullpen. Her emergence signals a readiness. And a tying run over at first, but the 3rd out there as well. In the span of just 2 innings, a 7-0 lead has now become a 7-6 ball game. How will the Cardinal respond? Lead, it was once 7-0, but a furious rally. The Gales continue to fight a tireless effort from the West Coast Conference champions, and now putting the pressure on Stanford and saying, let's make this a ball game, bottom 4. And the Cardinal coming back to the plate.
Well, you know who's sitting at home, or I should say rather the hotel, loving this and watching this is Mississippi State. Yeah, make Nigeri Kennedy rewarm back up, absolutely.
Now batting for Stanford, number 18.
Second inning was a big one for Stanford as they sent 11 batters to the plate and scored 5. So this is already the 3rd time through the lineup here. This is the number 2 hitter, Emily Jones.
I feel like we just had halftime, and it's the second half of the game is starting right now. How do you reset? You're at the top of the lineup with Emily Jones in the 2-hole. It's a 1-run ball game, completely different than what we saw an hour ago. If you were with us in the 1st inning and checking back in, you may be thinking, well, okay, this is not what I was watching. But it's a 2 halves, and you make the break right now. How do we reset and retake the lead and add more to our offense here?
You can't underestimate as well the impact of St. Mary's now having their ace in the circle also. Odie Vasquez didn't start this game, but she did come in the 2nd, just 4 batters into the inning. And an inauspicious start to her outing. Back-to-back bases loaded walk, give up a 2-run single. The last inning, set them down 1-2-3. And she struck out 3 of the last 4 batters she's faced.
Yeah, a reset for everyone, a reset for Stanford offensively, but the reset for Odie in the circle, where you see your team put up 6 runs in 2 innings, and it gives you new life.
And this is their good luck talisman in the dugout. It was a white elephant Christmas gift that, of course, you play that, you know, it's the wrapped presents, you don't know what's what, but you get to pick, and you can steal somebody else's gift. The big gift can be an enticing one.
Right.
That was one of them. And now the cat drinking milk has become a good luck charm for the St. Mary's team.
And it was Odie Vasquez, the pitcher in the circle. It was her white elephant gift. And so she was the one that put this, I don't know if it's a poster or a painting or just something from Home Goods. I don't know. But she put it in the dugout, and it's been in the dugout since February.
That's 4 strikeouts for Vasquez in the last 5 batters. The cat has powers beyond what we can comprehend.
Now batting for Stanford.
Working the screwball here. You watch the spin, watch the tail.
Of the cat or the ball?
Oh, I was not ready for that.
Now Vasquez and the Gales scratching and clawing their way back into this.
There you go.
Ava Gall drove in a couple, part of that 5-run second. This is not an unfamiliar spot for Vasquez. Not just this year, but her freshman year as well. Last year, had the most appearances on the team, pitched the second most innings. She's used to them turning to her in the most tense of situations.
Talking to senior second baseman yesterday, Marissa Montelongo, she just had glowing words about Vasquez in the circle and said she came in after her freshman year on a mission and she just never lets adversity get in her way. And this is a game with a ton of adversity and a ton of things that you have chaos just all around you. And that's who they want in the circle. We talked about it a couple of innings ago. I was a little surprised she didn't get the start. St. Marys was trying to ride the hot hand. Oof, that barely misses.
Really good pitch, but it's 3-1. She grabbed that down the line?
She sure did.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Full effort to go and grab that ball down the line.
This is Sam Buckley coming all the way from shortstop against the wall. Are you kidding me? Her teammate, she's holding her up. Making sure that ball stays in the glove the whole way, and it does.
Well, thank goodness it's a padded wall, and there's a lot of smiles and laughs in their huddle here in the ensuing action. One that might not feel great tomorrow, but
I know, she's probably thinking, was that worth it?
You play through today.
She's good. She's good. It's the freshman WCC Freshman of the Year playing shortstop, and watch her run all the way from shortstop. Remember, this is not your home field. You don't really know where the warning track is. You get the one practice, the 1 hour of work yesterday, but you're not making plays like this. This is just full instinct.
Now batting for Stanford, number 4, Allie Kaneshiro.
So Buckley is right back to it. And it's Ali Kaneshiro who got all this scoring started. A combined 13 runs already. She began it with a 2-run home run that cleared the wall in left center back in the first inning. She hits another one, a mile but foul down the left field line.
She just has incredible bat speed. And you're going to see that from catchers. No matter what your stature is, you're one of the strongest, if not the strongest athlete on the field. And you can see it with the way she swings the bat.
Now she knew right when she let the bat go, heading up the first base line, that was a no-doubt home run. And earlier this year, she did a podcast interview with former Stanford player Jenna Becerra. And one of the questions that Jenna asked Allie was, yay or nay bat flips? And she goes, you know, I don't really have a problem with it, but you can tell not her style there. She just tossed the bat, been there, done that before. It's always interesting to get the catcher's perspective too, because you got the batter at the beginning, and then if they flip the bat, you got the angry wait for them to come around from third.
You're also a hitter yourself, so if you're going to do it, then you can't be mad if other hitters are going to be doing it against your team.
And she takes ball 4 low. Vasquez had retired 6 straight after giving up a walk to Jade Berry last inning. And the inning continues for Kira Chan.
You could just kind of tell in that at-bat, Vasquez a little bit more careful, especially after that big booming foul ball down the line. Pitches just kind of were dancing around the zone, not really challenging. It's a one-run ball game. You want to keep it that way.
Jan is 0 for 1 with a walk. 6 of them issued between Wolverton and Vasquez. So he lays down the bunt. Vasquez, the throw on to first is in time. And that ends the inning. Jessica Allister now signals that she wants a challenge.
I was going to be very surprised if she didn't. Live, I thought she was safe.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So the way this works is that the ball has to be in the back of the glove before the runner's foot hits first base. Otherwise, Chan will be safe at first.
How about a 2-out drag bunt? Let's just start there. Definitely reading Taylor Lane at first base where she was playing a couple of steps in front of the bag, and just knowing the speed of Chan down the line. Here's the look.
You sticking with your initial thought?
This is the look I need to have right here.
Ball's got to be in the back of the glove. Foot is down. Ball is not in the back of the glove. So the call on the field should be overturned based off of what we're seeing.
It's so funny because when you're a youngster, they practice and preach to you, hit the front of the base, hit the front of the base. And I always remember like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old going, what, why? Like, what does that matter? Well, because of video review in 2024, that's why it matters. It's a difference of inches. So coaches weren't wrong when I was young. Definitely touch the front of the base. If she touches the top of the base, she's out.
All right, we got a quick verdict. Ball is overturned, so Kira Chan bunts her way aboard, pushing Kaneshiro up to second. And after a strikeout and a pop-out, it's now 2 aboard for Stanford. And Jade Berry back to the plate. A good use of the challenge there. Not just because they won it, but it keeps the inning alive. And who's to say how the rest of this game is going to go?
And I just feel like the momentum right now is up in the air. It's not on either team's side. It's just kind of hanging in the air, waiting for someone to come up and grab it. Opportunities for both teams here. If you get out of this for St. Mary's, you are pumped up, heading into the dugout with all of that offensive power that you were just putting up against Reagan Krause. And then, of course, if you're Stanford able to score here, you could bring in Nyjah and seal the deal. It's a big point right here. Rally Cups on defense? Absolutely.
Anything's on the table in the postseason. So it's Berry. And the bat and the ball running her family. Her dad, a 4th-round pick of the Astros back in 1990. Her brother, Jacob, a 1st-round pick of the Marlins a couple years ago, now with their AA affiliate, the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Here, the Cardinal and the Gales in a 7-6 game. The 0-1 to the freshman is ball 1.
Vasquez just staying all the way to Jade Berry, and I'm looking out to center field, and Hannah Ferguson, the center fielder, was shifted way over to her right, our left, so you can kind of tell St. Mary's not wanting to go inside at all to the freshman at the plate. And we're straight up now after that foul ball.
off again. Stanford, 7 runs, 5 hits, no errors. St. Marys, 6 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. After 2, it was a Stanford 7-0 lead. The Gales 2 in the 3rd, 4 in the 4th. Coming inside, but missing the plate again to go 3-2.
We haven't seen Vasquez throw an off-speed pitch. Everything's been hard. It's been screwball, drop ball, and curveball. Haven't really seen a rise ball that's up through the zone, and haven't seen the off-speed.
Chopper up the middle, base hit. Kaneshiro is around 3rd. The throw over to 3rd. Looks like it bounced off of Chan. And Berry is into 2nd. She drives in Stanford's 8th run of the night. And it's a 2-run lead.
That was a great at-bat by Jade Berry. Just so patient, saw so many different pitches. All of them except for one were on the outside part of the plate, and sometimes you can overthink that as a hitter, but she knows she's going away and she sees the ball deep and doesn't try to do too much. If you're swinging out of your shoes there, you're not getting that base hit up the middle because that's not a strike. You're in protect mode, you want to put the ball in play, she does just that, opens up the field and lets her teammates run the bases.
Stanford Cardinals, number 3, Caroline Cook.
Second and 3rd for Stanford. Still trying to build the lead. 2 out, and Kaylin Koch re-enters. Her first trip to the plate was a single in the 2nd. She got pinch run for, and now she comes back in here. Two 2-0 to the 3rd-year starter.
That's the pitch you got to sit on. 2-0 count, hitters count. You want something middle in, you're looking for it. That was it. Everything else is going to be away.
Stroke center field, Ferguson's right there. The inning is over. Stanford gets 1 on the Berry RBI single. 4 innings in the books. Here on the final game of the night to start this regional round here in the 2024 postseason. Heart of the order, though, 2 up for the Gales, who have shown a tireless effort this evening.
It was just under about 2 hours when we saw Nyjah Kennedy get the start. Had 3 strikeouts, 2 quick 3-up, 3-down innings. She was in a groove. Stanford was providing the offense. They were up 7-0, and so Coach Alistair makes the roster move, says we're gonna rest our ace a little bit. St. Marys says, no, we're back in this thing, and re-enter rather, the ace in the circle in Nyjah Kennedy.
All 22 pitches over those first 2 innings. So it's back to work for Kennedy, and we'll see how St. Marys responds after they were down 7-0, plated 6 runs across the 3rd and 4th combined. Each team with 6 hits. Appeal to first on the check swing. It is a strike, 0-2.
Just the change in velocity, 70 miles an hour when it's upstairs as a rise ball is so impressive. So
you thought another inning to let Kennedy go through the third. Might have been the more effective move.
I thought 3 would have been really safe. Just at least one time through the entire lineup.
Well, nevertheless, the tried and true Rise gets her the strikeout, and that's her 4th on the evening.
And you know, Mike, we're just sitting here talking about making it a big deal, about bringing her back in. But if you ask her, and if you ask a sophomore in the middle of their collegiate career, if it's a big deal for them to warm up in the NCAA tournament and regionals, they just look at you like, what? No, it's not a big deal at all.
Hard hit, and Barry goes down to save that ball from skidding on the dirt. But between what we've seen from Kern, from Mailer, and Barry, this has been an all-star day from the Stanford infield.
Usually don't get a lot of action when you're playing defense behind Nyjah in the circle. But she throws so hard coming in that you make connection with her velocity and hit the ball pretty hard. She's providing a lot of the power, so you got to make sure your head's on a swivel at third base. Good snag by Barry.
Kennedy, the 2024 Pac-12 Pitcher of the Year, the first for Stanford. Second time in as many years on the league's all-defensive team, and a .50 ERA to lead the nation. 260 strikeouts now with 4 tonight. She was making her college choice coming from Kansas. She said originally she wasn't quite sure that she wanted to come this far away to go to school, but there is an undeniable appeal to walking around this campus, the beauty of the buildings, the layout of the landscape, designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, designed Central Park as well. You drive down Palm Drive, which I did this morning accidentally as I got lost going for coffee, and you can't help but just say wow sometimes, not to mention the caliber of your fellow athlete, your fellow student is top tier.
You're going to class with Olympians, future pros, in whatever respective sports they're going to be playing in. And on top of that, sunny and 70. Well, not now, but it was. It was beautiful.
Dare I say, and maybe the rest of our colleagues are asleep, I'm a little chilly.
I'm kind of with you. I'm a Arizona native, got thin blood, but yeah.
It gets cold in the desert.
It does, it does, it does.
Jess gets a piece, Lane, it's 2-2 with 2 out with Kennedy trying for her third 1-2-3 inning.
And you got the jacket on.
I did go jacket, yes.
It's good preparation though. Gotta be prepared.
Kennedy with 4 strikeouts, and her 2-2, just a bit high. Lane waits and Kennedy fires. And her 3-2 is up again. A swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts for Kennedy. She has faced 9 batters and retired them all. And the star only continues to shine brighter for the sophomore.
Took a little bit of a hiatus. We saw her in the first 2 innings, but she's back. 2 strikeouts, just like we saw in those first 2 innings. 5th of the night for Nyjah.
Starting May 30th, the NCAA Women's College World Series begins, and for the 23rd straight year, every game on ESPN. The championship finals, Wednesday, June 5th from Oklahoma City. For more information, head to NCAA.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Wild ride here, like Mr. Toads getting into this game. Stanford goes up 7-0. St. Mary's comes back and scores 6 of their own. The Cardinal put 1 on the board. Bottom 4, and they're back to work here bottom 5 with an 8-6 lead.
A little different than our first game.
Just about to say that, a 1-0 win for Mississippi State. And that's what's at stake here as the winner of this game advances in the double elimination format in the winner's bracket. Bulldogs back in the postseason after missing a year ago. Last time they were in, eliminated number 2 national seed Florida State, lost to Arizona in super regionals, because we go from 64 teams this weekend to just 16 next weekend, and then 8 will play in the Women's College World Series. As Oklahoma makes its push for a 4th straight national championship. Here's River Mailer, and she grounds out to start the Stanford 5th. Tell you what though, for the 2 teams that have been the quote-unquote underdogs in our games today, they put a heck of a fight, respectively. Cal State Fullerton, the offense, 6 hits. They stranded 8, though. Aspen Wesley in the circle, just a little bit better for Mississippi State. Complete game as she struck out 4.
Just a moment for Haley Rainey, the Big West pitcher of the year. Held Mississippi State to 2 hits and got the loss. Like, that's so tough. She pitched her tail off going toe-to-toe with Aspen Wesley, kept her team in it. Cal State Fullerton had so many chances with runners on base, runners in scoring position, and Aspen Wesley just clutched up.
And we talked to Aspen after the game, and the word that she used, this surprised me, was embarrassed that they did not make the postseason last year. They were the only team from the SEC that didn't make it, and a banner year in the final version of what the SEC looks like now, as they'll add Texas and Oklahoma next year. But getting all 13 teams in to the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, Mississippi State talked about the success that they've had this season, and of course getting back to the NCAA tournament started this week exactly a season ago when they didn't make it. And so for the 5th year in the circle, Aspen Wesley getting that start, getting the shutout, you know that means so much to her and her team about this is where we want to be. This is the performance that we want to have on this stage. I don't know if I had a pitcher's duel 1-0 ball game planned for those 2 squads with what they can do offensively and on the base pass. Cal State Fullerton, one of the fastest teams, as well as St. Mary's, another team that's very fast on the base paths.
That was hit a long way and foul, well beyond the seating area here.
Ball was crushed. If Vasquez had an off speed, I would say throw it right now, but we just haven't seen it from her. Still a young pitcher, just a sophomore, so much development in front of her. I love her warrior mentality. She came in a hot situation, bases were loaded, it didn't go well, issued a couple of walks, but then got a clean inning. Her team got her back in the game and she's resettled in. And you can kind of watch her every single pitch. She's like dialed into her teammates. I love that.
Left center field, Ferguson was playing deep. She comes in on the run to get the out on limb. And those 2 walks, you don't know what's going to be the most impactful thing in the moment, but she came in the 2nd, walked Kern, walked Jones with the bases loaded. Look at the scoreboard, 2-run difference.
Yep. And also you just look at the 4th inning where Stanford was able to add an additional run. That run that scored was a walk.
Taryn Kern, officially 0 for 1. But she's got 2 highlight reel defensive plays, 2 walks, she scored 2. Taryn Kern, a perfect example of things under the subheader of life is funny, huh? Grew up in San Jose, not far from here. and said she never came to a camp here because she just thought that the possibility of playing at Stanford was not particularly realistic. And like you said, few and far between that transfers have ever come into Stanford. She's just their second. Different age now where you don't have to sit out either, but of course the requirements are difficult to get in. And also a stroke of luck that it always used to be the case that transfers needed to have their paperwork in by a certain time in the spring. Well, hello, it's a little bit difficult when your season runs all the way into May, as she was in the postseason last year with Indiana. And school was able to accommodate that. And she finds a new home back at her old home here in Northern California.
Such a funny thing to say, but it's so true. Where, you know, growing up, like, am I good enough? You see these players on TV, and could that be me? No way. Like, look how big and strong and fast they are. You're just a little nugget, right? Dreaming big, but then the years passed, and oh yeah, it can be you. I think that's why, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like regionals might be the second most impactful. Obviously, the World Series is going to draw all the eyeballs, but the regionals, the fact that all of our games are on ESPN platforms, it gives so many different dreams to different young girls all across the country, learning who these programs are. St. Marys, let me Google them real quick. Where are they from? Oh, they're from California. Okay. Maybe what are their majors that they offer? It just opens up so many new doors and opportunities for the next generation of our ball players coming in to see different teams, not just the 8 teams that we'll watch in Oklahoma City.
Kern is aboard for the 3rd time in 4 plate appearances now. Brought to you by Evo Shield on that plate appearance.
It's just, she's in the business of free bases. Whether that's a walk or a hit by pitch, she's standing toes on the chalk. There's not really much chalk, but if there were chalk, that's where the chalk would be. And she is very comfortable, wears that Evo Shield, and comfortable with getting hit by pitch. So her 3rd free pass of the game.
Continuing with what you were talking about, though, like St. Mary's, not a huge school. And you have programs this year, one that comes to mind, University of Dayton, first time ever into the NCAA tournament field. Certainly much more known for their basketball program, but it's to say, and I think this has been great for the sport as well, in what has been, historically speaking, a predominantly West Coast dominated sport, as it took till 2005 for a team east of the Mississippi to win a championship when Michigan did it, that you don't have to go to a legendary program to be successful. And that you can still make it to the postseason, even if you don't end up at Alabama or UCLA or Arizona or whatever the case might be.
And I think it's so important for television to open up those eyeballs and showcase those opportunities, because when I played, these type of games were not on TV. And so you just didn't know what you didn't know. You just knew Arizona, UCLA, of course, Michigan, Florida was having their run. Now comes Oklahoma. But you start to see the regionals get televised, and all of a sudden all these different schools are benefiting because of the recruiting.
High fly left center field for Jones. Ferguson on the move, and the inning is over. Kern is left aboard. Cardinal have stranded 6, but after 5, their lead is 2. Stanford with a 2-run lead here. Nyjah Kennedy started the game through 22 pitches over 2 innings. And now back in the circle, my cousins, Kenzie Fowler. You mentioned your playing days, so we got to have this ready. And just look at the difference between how many innings you'd work back when in your college days versus the way that the game has evolved today.
It was crazy, right? The staffs were different back in the day, and it's funny to say back in the day because 2010 was when I had, my freshman year. I threw a lot of innings, but yeah, it's not that long ago where staffs have completely changed to where they are now.
And Nyjah Kennedy, she came out after 2. That's where St. Mary's made its move. She comes back in, picks up a strikeout, and she's faced 9 batters now, retired them all.
Yeah, put on the jacket for a little bit and then came back in and really picked up where she started with a couple of strikeouts. Reagan Krause was trying to do her best to close the door, but credit St. Mary's, they've been all over it offensively, just fighting every single inning. And I just want to be clear, anytime if I'm on a graphic with Nyjah, am I breathing her air? Great. She's a sophomore, but in my book, she's already a legend. She's one of the best to do it. Her talent, it's just going to be so much fun to watch her develop the next couple of seasons. And then we were just talking about the Olympics and the growth of the game. This is a player, in my opinion, will be prized and ready for the possibility of representing Team USA come 2028.
I'm so curious because we can watch the dominance, we can look at the numbers and understand how good it is historically speaking, but when you watch, because you've done it, what are the things that for the layperson who's never pitched before that you look at that we wouldn't even understand to say, wow, what she's doing is so difficult and she makes it look so easy?
It's the movement with the velocity. So, you know, it's two of the greats that you talk about. Kat Osterman, you think of the movement, right? Didn't throw 70 miles an hour, but the ball moved like 3 feet. Crazy movement. And then you also can think of Monica Abbott, 73, 74 miles an hour. Kind of developed her movement later in her career and figured out how to expand the zone because she just had that elite velocity. Oh, whoa, 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 it's a jump scare here. But just to talk about and wrap my thought up with Nyjah, she has the combination of the movement of Kat Osterman and the velocity of Monica Abbott, which is why she's the talent that she is.
And we talked about the growth of the game. This was not all that long ago. You're pitching in Oklahoma City, and the bleachers are not full. You know, the stadium is not yet expanded. How much things have just changed in the last decade and a half.
Outfield bleachers were new. It was like only a couple of years old bringing, you know, the bleachers into Oklahoma City. If you watch the highlights back in, you know, the mid-2000s, there weren't really any outfield bleachers. There was maybe like a couple of levels, but not just the big stadium bleachers that they bring in now, where it looks like they are permanent. They're not. They bring them in, but they look like it's a full-fledged stadium now, and it's packed.
You mentioned Monica Abbott, too, our colleague now here at ESPN.
Yeah.
And there was a big article today in The Athletic talking about the growth of the game, and it very prominently featured Nyjah Kennedy. And it spoke to people all across the sport, whether it was her pitching coach, Tori Nyberg. Monica Abbott was one of those quoted in there. Monica was a 4-time All-American at Tennessee and the NCAA career strikeout leader. And she said this was her quote: "Nyjah's already throwing as fast as I was as a pro." And Monica was clocked at 77 miles an hour, and she said, her limit does not exist. I think she could potentially reach 80.
It's legit. And, you know, the growth of our game professionally is so huge. Mentally, and then, of course, physically as well. I played for Coach Candrea, and he coached a couple of Olympic teams, and, you know, talking to him, he would always talk about the players would be peaking when they're 25, 26, 27 years old. And you don't obviously see that in college. So what could be if she's able to have the professional platform that is emerging? We've promoted Athletes Unlimited a couple of times in this game already. I've already had the draft for Athletes Unlimited with some seniors going out and having the ability to continue their playing days. And of course, Monica Abbott, Kat Osterman played, you know, they are retired now, but played for a long time after college.
7th strikeout for Kennedy.
How could she get? Well, we're gonna all watch together. She's looking pretty good right now. That's the first changeup that we've seen for the strikeout. Every strikeout has been on that rise ball, so a couple of different looks and multiple looks to the St. Mary's hitters utilizing the changeup. That pitch is not new for her, but it's more consistent for her in this season.
So 7 strikeouts. She's already lowered her nation-leading ERA that started the night at .50. That has ticked down to .49. And one last thought in that article that we mentioned for Monica Abbott. She said, I don't know, can Nyjah be the Caitlin Clark of softball? I kind of believe she can. And if that's the case, then the sport, us as commentators, fans, we are in for a really fun next couple of years.
Those are quite the compliments coming from one of the GOATs in our game, and Monica Abbott.
Only year number 2 for Nyjah Kennedy. She struck out 3 in a row, 4 of the last 5, looking to strike out the side. She'll try again on a full count. Three-two to Laura. Now back.
How tough for St. Marys too, right? You start with the velocity, the 70 miles an hour. Enter Reagan Krause, who's mid-60s, lower in the zone. You're getting in a groove. Stanford counters. They bring back in 70 miles an hour. You can just feel the change of velocity, and the hitter's just a little bit late.
And it's called out because Laura leaned into it. I believe Laura is saying that hit the knob of the bat. But the call on the field was out.
It could still be a dead ball strike if the umpire thinks that it's a strike over the heart of the plate, no matter if it's the knob or maybe the Evo shield. If the home plate umpire thinks that it's a strike over the heart of the plate, it could be a dead ball strike. And that was the ruling. Looks like we're going to have a little conversation about what they need to talk about, what they saw. So it does hit the knob of the bat, but you can see it's over the heart of the plate. To me, that's strike 3. That's a strike.
And we're getting the signal that there's going to be a replay review here.
The previous play is under review.
I don't see this getting overturned.
So the umpires have conferred with St. Mary's coaching staff and now do the same with Jessica Allister. And I wonder what type of questions she has for the umpires, because that aforementioned interview we were talking about with Ali Kaneshiro, she said Jessica Allister knows rules in softball that I didn't even know existed.
You know what? Now that I think of it, watching her in the Pac-12 conference, I feel like she has like a really good average with video review.
So as it stands now, out is called on Laura.
So it's just where the ball is located, and you can see Ali Kaneshiro's glove it's actually a missed pitch. It's supposed to be outside. It misses over the heart of the plate. That's how much of a strike this pitch is, but Laura doing everything she can, trying to get on base, and her left foot clearly out of the batter's box there. That's not something that they're looking at review. It's just, is this ball a strike? That's, to me, as simply as I can put it. Is it a strike? Yes. If it is, it's strike 3.
So you would imagine, based off of what we just saw, as this goes back to replay, that should be a timely decision and an expedient one at that. So Kennedy waits as she stands with her battery mate Ali Kaneshiro. Nyjah Kennedy tonight has been phenomenal. 3 2/3 at the moment, 7 strikeouts, and doing it all in 45 pitches. Winner of this game will play tomorrow against Mississippi State. Bulldogs a 1-0 winner over Cal State Fullerton earlier today. And a call on the field stands. Laura is out, and Kennedy has another 1-2-3 inning. On the night, she's faced 12 batters, retired them all. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th, Stanford by a pair.
The NCAA Softball Regionals are presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Stanford to the plate, bottom 6, 2-run lead, 8-6. Mike Cousins, Kenzie Fowler along with you. And Kenzie, I think that hat, you might have one tomorrow.
I want it. I'm going to go figure out where they got it.
You didn't bring a jacket.
No,
you messed up.
I didn't bring a jacket. I'm thinking it's May. We have an outdoor booth. Why would I need a jacket? rookie mistake.
Yeah. You listen to Justin Timberlake a little bit too much. Just because it's going to be May doesn't mean that it's not going to be cold.
It's going to be mayhem.
You're a professional broadcaster. That segue was phenomenal. Ava Gall to lead it off. And Ali Kaneshiro, Kira Chan, 3-4-5. I'm not on TikTok, but sometimes they do swerve into my social sphere.
Your algorithm.
The algo.
Yep.
Serving up the hot content. And there was one the other day that somebody said, what's the one word that you've mispronounced and no one's ever let you live it down? And it was then Justin Timberlake, I don't know, what would you say, duoed it? What's the...
Stitched it, maybe?
Thank
yeah,
you.
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm 34 going on 80. And he said, May. That was it. One word.
Gonna be May. It is gonna be May.
Hem.
Mayhem.
1-2 pitch. Back to the screen. You got a few contenders for like mayhem moment of the day, I guess, if you will. We have 32 games going on. We are the 32nd and final of the day. And just looking at the scores from earlier today, a team that you saw in the postseason last year, Southern Illinois, gets a 5-4 win over Cal in the Baton Rouge Regional.
Yeah, the Salukis are for real. I watched them push that Salt Lake City Regional, playing Baylor and Ole Miss. Didn't get a win, but won everyone's heart. So I saw that score come through, and a lot of people were surprised. And I'm sitting there going, no, I watched that team a season ago. They're for real.
One of the big questions about before seeds came out was where would Alabama end up? And the Crimson Tide hosting. They were a 1-0 winner over USC Upstate.
Wow.
Earlier today in Tuscaloosa. Florida State needed some late runs to get by Chattanooga, 3-2 in the Tallahassee Regional. St. Francis, PA had an early lead over Northwestern. A young, different-looking Northwestern team this year, but they stormed back late, 7-2, a final score there for the Wildcats and head coach Kate Drohan's team. Liner that's off of Vasquez's leg. It takes a bounce to the right. And a diving effort from Lane is tardy over at first base. And that's a type of play you just hope everybody's okay at the end of it. Saw Sam Buckley, the shortstop, earlier in the game, slide into the wall of the left field line and make a spectacular catch. And for Vasquez there, simply not enough reaction time.
I don't think people understand what it's like to have a ball hit up at the middle at you as a pitcher. You have close to 0 reaction time. I mean, you can feel it when you release the ball, like, oh man, this ball's drifting over the heart of the plate, please don't swing at it, but it's like 0.0002 seconds of that feeling, and then the ball's coming right back at you. And that's why you see her wear the face masks, and that's another part of our game that's evolved. It wasn't really a thing. Like, face masks were not sold when I was a pitcher. If they were, I would probably have worn one. I'm just glad for her sake that it hit her in the thigh. She seems to be all right, but man, that's just a scary moment.
She seems all right. And it's Ali Kaneshiro's turn. 8-6 Stanford. Kaneshiro, 2-run homer in the first, her 8th home run of the year. Do you think even if the face gear was sold when you were pitching, that a lot of people would have worn it?
It just depends on how you grow up, right? So the generation in front of me, it was face masks on the helmet. So I grew up wearing a face mask. Generation in front of me didn't. So now the generation that is coming up grew up wearing face masks, and you want to be comfortable, of course, in the pitcher circle. You will see pitchers not wear face masks, and to each their own. But I just think with today's day and age, how strong the hitters are, I would have worn one. And
I was thinking of from the perspective of you and I both came of age in the 90s. and it was all about what's cool. And like, would that have been a cool thing to wear? No, but neither is surgery.
That's fair. There's no worse feeling when you release the ball and you know it's going, and you know you're missing your spot and it's going over the heart of the plate. Like, all pitchers know what I'm talking about. Your heart just sinks into your stomach and you're just have a second to pray. Like, what? Please don't swing. And then sometimes if a hitter doesn't, yes, okay, got away with one. We're good. Gonna execute better on this next pitch, but it just definitely happens. It's only 43 feet away. By the time you're full stride, yeah, 35 feet, 36 feet away from a hitter that is strong, swinging through the zone. He's been in the weight room, maybe trying to cheat on a couple of pitches here and there, like taking big hacks. Then the other thing is when you're providing velocity and bringing the heat, it comes back harder. So it's like a self-inflicted thing. If you're throwing mid-60s, 70 miles an hour, well, that ball's going to be put in play hot.
Just like that, laser beam center field. Ferguson with the catch. Maybe anywhere else but that trajectory, and that drops down for Kaneshiro. On a straight line back for Ferguson. And Kaneshiro's retired.
Hannah Ferguson, she has been solid in center field tonight. She's covered a lot of ground. She's their best hitter offensively, but she might be their best player defensively as well.
Stanford facing a test here in their first game, a team that won 43 games during the regular season, a top 8 national seed for the first time since 2009, and in the postseason for the 5th straight year, 21st time overall. They missed out on the NCAA tournament 5 straight seasons, 2014 to 2018. I find it fascinating, too, to hear players' perceptions of what the expectations are for programs. Ali Kaneshiro just retired, a great example of you come in and the bar is already set high. And now the expectation is, well, we went through the postseason last year, so we got to go again. How much further can we go this year? And now it's not just supers, but it's, can we get back to the World Series? Because you look at the years before Jessica Allister took over, and the program was 4-68 in 3 Pac-12 seasons. And this year, 17 wins, tied for their most ever in league play.
It's so hard to get back to Oklahoma City. Just touching on the parity in our sport, and it makes what Oklahoma has done with the three-peat just shake my head every time I think about it or remember it. That's just insane what they've been able to do in our game.
Slow roller, first base lane. She stretches and gets the out at first. Chan tried to evade going up the baseline. 2 down. I'll take second, and it'll be Jade Berry. But you're right, because you can have the most talented roster in the country, but everybody's got to play to somewhat near their full potential. They've got to do it in synchronicity, and they've got to do it consistently, game after game, at bat after at bat, and in their case, year after year.
Yeah, regionals have leveled up in terms of the competition. It's funny when you think about where our sport is at right now, and I feel like it's kind of 2 ways you can look at it. We've had the most parity across the board because I don't know what's going on there, but they're cold. I'm with you. But I just feel like the sport is better than it's ever been. It's spread coast to coast. You see the regional seeds are better. The 2, 3, 4 seeds. Competition is better. But at the same time, you have Oklahoma who's dominating. So it's just kind of funny. It always makes me laugh a little bit because I'm like, yeah, our sport is in such a good spot with the parity. It's shared all around. Except for one team holding it down, trying to go for a 4-peat this season.
Casual 9-0 win today over Cleveland State. Sooners pillaged the Vikings. 3 home runs in the game, and they did it in 6 innings.
Big 12 tournament champs.
And although they showed some vulnerability this year, they're still 50-6. And by vulnerability, I mean they lost a couple of games.
And that goes back to the bar being set and having to repeat what you did a season ago. What for Stanford, that's go to the semifinals of the Women's College World Series. It starts in regionals. You've got to advance out of regionals. You've got to win game 1.
Strike away from getting out of the inning. Gales will be down at least 2 going to the 7th when they'll have the top of the order coming up. Three and 2 to Berry, who in her last time to the plate in the 4th did a really nice job getting on top of a ball, driving it on the ground, up the middle, bringing home a run, and continues to fight.
She sees a lot of foul balls. Sometimes hitters are just kind of funny that way. Have the ability to have great barrel control and get to a lot of balls that maybe they shouldn't. So you'll see balls being sprayed behind us, down the left field line.
And she takes high ball 4. The patience displayed today by the Stanford hitters today, really noteworthy as well, because that walk there makes it 7. Plus, you had Kern taking the ball off the elbow guard. And a well-deserved round of applause from the St. Mary's fans on the third base line for Odie Vasquez, who came in a really difficult spot in the 2nd, had the bases loaded, and has worked all the way here to 2 out in the 6th. So Vasquez is out. She gives the ball to the freshman, Mia Nishikawa. We'll tell you more about her when we come back. Capital One. Last game of the night, or depending on where you are, the morning, Saturday in the Eastern time zone. Mike Cousins and Kenzie Fowler here in Stanford, California. Odie Vasquez deserves commendation for her effort today, keeping St. Mary's in this game. And they've still got a chance, down by just 2, as she turns it over to the freshman Mia Nishikawa, the freshman out of Fresno, California, who in the first meeting of these teams this year got the start in that game.
It's a very young staff for St. Mary's. Gonna throw the low 60s. It's a floaty changeup that she'll throw, which is something that we really didn't see often from Odie Vasquez. It was more about the curve and the screw and pinpoint location. I just feel like for that youngster, that's next in her development, is getting that off speed. And this is a great opportunity to kind of see what that next step is. What am I missing? What do I need to elevate? And for Vasquez, in my opinion, it's that off speed.
Kaylin Koch at the plate for Stanford takes 2-0 against the freshman, who led the team 112 innings this year and started most on the team with 20. First and second, Berry at first, Gall at second. change, hammered left field, right at Cuttinelli, inning over. 2 left on for Stanford. They took a 7-0 lead. St. Mary's rallied back, and do they have any more left? Top of the order in a 2-run game as we go to the 7th.
Started the game, so a little bit unconventional for Stanford. Started the game, they brought in the reliever and Reagan Krause. Things got a little bit spicy, so the jacket had to come off. For Nyjah, a quick re-warm-up and just finishing just like she started.
And with the 4 scoreless innings tonight, finalist for NFCA Player of the Year has extended her scoreless streak to 20 1/3 innings. Lowered her ERA, a nation-leading .50 to start the night. And this is the best hitter in the lineup, Hannah Ferguson, who is 1 for 3, but her 1 hit came when Kennedy was out of the game in the 4th, an infield single. She faced Kennedy once to start the game. Kennedy got a strikeout.
It's a very effortless 70. Just looks so smooth, and 70 really, it's so much work to throw that hard.
For you, not for her.
For real, I'm sweating to get 70 miles an hour. For Nyjah, it's just 80%.
She had to wait to officially get her 8th strikeout. That was the end of the 6th on a ball that was thrown to Camille Lara, went to replay review off the knob of her bat. Leaning into it, gets a called 3rd swinging strike. So 4 straight strikeouts for Kennedy out of her 8 on the evening. As Ferguson has battled off a couple of pitches here at 1 and 2.
You could see Nyjah shaking off a couple of pitches. Ali Kaneshiro trying to figure out what she wants.
Well, Stanford gets out of this victorious. That's all they want. A win is a win, but not all wins are created equal, and this one certainly challenging. Seemed like Ferguson knew that the rise was coming there with 2 strikes.
The last 2 pitches, Nyjah had shaken off what the pitch com is coming in.
And
Pitch clock violation.
that's strike 3. Okay, so there was a signal, but not yet what it was.
Stepped
and
out
so
of the box.
Ferguson not ready to go, and so she's called for strike 3.
Coach Garnett has the rally cap on, coming to figure out what exactly this ruling was. I was so sure that it was a pitch clock violation because the clock was coming down to 2-1-0.
Now batting for St. Mary's, number 5.
I'm kind of with Coach Garnett on this, but Hannah Ferguson stepped out of the box and Nyjah continued to stay on the mound, so that's the key. If Nyjah steps off of the mound, then it's kind of a moot point. So the fact that Nyjah stayed in the circle or stayed on the pitcher's plate and Hannah Ferguson left the batter's box, well, it's kind of a reverse pitch clock violation.
That's why it's technically the action clock.
That's right. It's not, well, to me, it's pitcher's clock. Everything's about the pitchers, so pitcher's clock. But yes, it's a new one.
Marissa Montelongo, Gales with 2 outs to work with. There is jaw-dropping ability in the circle here in Stanford, California. Kennedy gets the strikeout, number 10, and continues to baffle hitters.
Her rise looks like her change. So she throws her changeup off of her rise ball grip and she spins it like her rise ball. There's a lot of ways that you can slow the ball down, but the fact that she uses the same grip and it's the same spin is what is going to make her so filthy the rest of the way as far as she wants this team to go. It's just so hard to lock down that pitch because it looks exactly the same as the rise.
Kennedy has struck out 6 in a row, 7 of the last 8, and that was a strike away from 7 straight strikeouts to end the game.
She's only thrown 65 pitches.
The rise too high, 1 and 2.
It's just another level.
Not even 2-2. Stanford with a win has a date with Mississippi State tomorrow. A loss for St. Mary's lines them up with Cal State Fullerton. 2-2 pitch from Kennedy, fouled away. Kennedy vying for the game's final out and perhaps a 7th straight strikeout. She's just building the drama, going from 0-2 to 3-2.
I wonder if she's shaking the change because every time I've seen her shake off a pitch, she comes in with something hard velocity-wise.
And the payoff pitch, flared center field, and it is caught by River Mailer. She bails out Emily Jones, who flopped onto the turf, and a team effort finished off by the shortstop. Oh, what a night for Stanford. 8-6 final, and they take on Mississippi State tomorrow.
Unconventional win for the number 8 team in the country, but at this point, Mike, a win is a win. And credit St. Mary's, they made Stanford work. They made Nyjah re-enter this game. She does so with 10 strikeouts against 14 hitters. So just looking postseason form, ready to go. But how about this last catch? Let's take this in one more time. Emily Jones, this is her ball all day, and she just loses her footing. But how about your teammate having your back? I got you. Let me run this down for you. Nyjah says, let's go home.
That River running toward victory here tonight in Stanford. 8-6, it was not easy. They went up 7-0, gave up 6. Tacked on one more in the 4th and no runs over the final 2.5. Nyjah Kennedy, 10 strikeouts in just 70 pitches. Mississippi State and Stanford tomorrow, 5 Eastern, elimination game to follow. Cal State Fullerton and St. Mary's, and the loser of that first game will then play the winner of the Cal State Fullerton St. Mary's game. Bottom left there, whichever team loses, their season is over, and the winner of that 1-0 game needs just one more win to move on to Supers. It's going to be exciting. SEC Pac-12 tomorrow in the winners bracket. We hope to have you with us. What an exciting day one. The NCAA softball regionals, 32 games down and lots more fun to come. So for our entire crew, Here out in Northern California, my partner Kenzie Fowler. I'm Mike Cousins saying thanks for watching and stay with us all weekend long on the ESPN networks and the ESPN app on the road to the College World Series.